What is going on, everybody? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Good evening. We are about to get started here with our Hermetic live stream. Just waiting for Alchemic Mason to hop on. And then we will proceed with the reading. We're going to be reading Hermetica 2. So if you have an interest in Hermetic philosophy, Greco-Egyptian philosophy, hang around because we will be getting started shortly. Good evening, good evening, good evening. We are about to get started. We're just waiting for Alchemic Mason to hop on. All right, that's obviously a lie. So let me. We'll be getting started momentarily. So hang around if you have an interest in Hermeticism. All right, I guess it'll be more. Whatever. Whatever. I don't know why that's gonna take that long, but whatever. Hey, Vintage B, how are you? Welcome. Welcome to the stream. I want to understand the Voodoo Gnostic workbook, but I have hit a brick wall. I'm sorry, I would not be able to help you with that. I have the Voodoo. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of any sort of backdoors into closed systems like the ATRs. And there's Alchemic Mason. Be able to assist with the Voodoo Gnostic workbook.
My
Unfortunately.
good friend, how is the Mystical Rebel tonight?
Good evening, brother. How are you? I'm doing
I,
very
I
well.
am so much better than I was earlier this week. Corporate Hermeticist, welcome.
Well, I'm glad you're doing better. Hey, Jeff James, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the
I'm doing
stream.
my manly chest on stream tonight. Oh, there we go. I
There you
tilted
go.
myself sideways.
Hey, Pla, Plaki138. I guess that's how you say your name. Check out my video on projecting through the throat chakra. I have a video on astral projecting through the throat chakra, so check that out. How can I make a homunculus? I have no idea.
So the known recipe for that is the only known recipe that's been widely speculated is from Paracelsus. But if you're going to
Okay.
look up Paracelsus's equation, please do not do it on a work computer or on a public network. It involves several bodily fluids that describing might get TikTok mad at me.
Oh, wow. How many? Okay.
He took the red and the white very literally.
All right then. Yeah, I know of a ritual from the Picatrix, I believe. I believe it's called the Magic Mirror of the Seven Winds, and it requires bodily fluids, seven of them, seven different types. So I thought maybe there was some similarity there.
There may be more, but it's more of the meme of it requiring the red and the white one.
Yeah.
Corporate Hermeticist is going to go look it up on his work computer right now. I
All
wish you
right.
luck, my friend.
Let us
Did not
know
say
what
I
your
did not
boss
warn you.
says. Far from here says, so what's the Kabbalion? Absolute nonsense. New thought nonsense. It was written by William Walker Atkinson, not the Three Initiates. I have a video on it. Please check it out. It's in my Hermeticism playlist. So do check that out. But yeah, it was written by William Walker Atkinson, who was friends with the CEO. Well, I don't know if he was the CEO, but the guy who was running the Yogi Masonic Publication Society. And due to their friendship and him being an author elsewhere, he wrote under three different pen names: Yogi Ramachakra, Magnus Incognito, and Theron Q. Dumont. Three separate pen names he wrote under, hence the term Three Initiates. Due to their friendship and him being a prolific author elsewhere, he did a one and done type of a thing for them, and that was the Kabbalion. It does not espouse any Hermetic teachings, any Hermetic philosophy, any Neoplatonic philosophy, any Egyptian philosophy, any Greek philosophy, or anything like that. It is 100% completely new thought. You don't have to believe me. The on a website called sacredtext.com. Pull it up. Open up another tab, or better yet, if you have more than one screen, on your other screen, bring up another tab and bring up sacredtext.com again and search for the Corpus Hermeticum. These are the authentic collection of Hermetic texts. Pull those up and compare them side by side, and you let me know what you find comparable within the two. You won't find anything.
On that note, I'm going to jump in really quick. Did you see my threat in the philosophy channel?
Did I see your threat in the
So
philosophy channel?
earlier today on Reddit, on the Hermeticism forum, someone posted the 16 Hermetic principles.
Ah,
These are written by
I didn't see
scholar
that.
David Litwa. Litwa being the transliterator and editor of the current text that we're reading.
Right.
Ex Ludo, glad to have you. So,
Oh yeah.
if you
Okay.
don't mind, I would like to read these 16 Hermetic principles. Now, bear in mind, I haven't done a full read through of them yet. But
Yeah.
having read through the comments, Polyphanes has come in and mentioned that these are actually very, very Hermetic in context. Like, you could disagree with his verbiages. You could definitely disagree with some of the takes, but they all have sourcing. So, I am not condoning them, but I think it's very, very
There he is.
interesting to compare
Polyfans. Okay.
that Litwa could only condense it down to 16, and here they are. Are we ready?
Let's do them.
Principle 1. All religions are insufficient. There is always a source above God's.
Mm-hmm.
The source is beyond cognition, but can be described as light and life.
Okay. All right. I can see
Principle
that.
3. Humanity is the divine child of the source. Our essential human cannot die. Our essential human combines both genders.
Okay. I like that. Baphomet.
Deathlessness is realized through gnosis, knowledge of what humanity really is.
All right.
The world nature is a second God, a child of God.
Oh, okay. All right.
Science and spirituality are sisters.
Not brothers, of course. Sisters.
Sisters, brothers, because I don't care. They are two sides of the same coin. They're not even two sides of the same coin because they don't exist in opposition. They may dispute on occasion, but they are family. They are meant to be in tandem with each other. They are not meant to be these enemies as they've been painted.
Fifth cousin twice removed.
Principle 7. Humanity enters the mortal body by intercourse with nature. As a consequence, sex and sexuality are good.
Yes.
Oh, got to go back to 6 here for a second. So, Fire
Okay.
Godly Grace says they disagree and they lost me there. Um, so
With
they're
what?
talking about the science and spirituality. Science and spirituality, science and faith, are both attempts to explain the world we exist in. One
Yeah, I
does
thought that
it.
was common. I thought everyone knew that.
There is a take that because science is empirical and religion and faith tend to be more experiential, that they are opponents of each other. But think of it like
Right.
a bicycle. Here's a way. Think of it like a bicycle. If the pedal can only be pushed down on a bicycle, and it's the only force you're allowed is the force to go down, the bicycle cannot move.
Right.
But if you have both pedals, down while the other comes up, that allows you to have this exponential versus the empirical, and they have this cycle back and forth, and that allows us to progress. When you only rely on one, you have a problem. Um, Thoth's prophecy is all about the rejection of religion. It's very very like one of the core Hermetic texts in my opinion. It's part of the Asclepius, where it discusses giving up technology or giving up faith entirely and leaning purely on empirical reasoning will ruin the world. And we've already
Hmm.
seen the other side of that, where giving up on faith or giving up on empirical reasoning entirely gave us the Dark Ages.
Right.
They may not walk the same path. Fire God by Fire of God by Grace says the interplay is understanding, but they don't walk down the same path. They do, but sometimes the mechanics at play are so large we can't understand them. Or in the areas that they don't, they become supplementary to each other.
I believe they were in my chat yesterday. Fire God or Fire of God. Harry, I doubt it, but we can ask him. Uh, do you know anything, Kevin, about the Voodoo Gnostic workbook?
Sorry, you know me way too well to think I know anything about Voodoo.
Yeah, yeah, I don't didn't think so. Sorry, Harry. No one here would be able to assist you with that text. I have it, but it is not anything that I would recommend anybody read. That, along with the Aeonic Flow of Voodoo, Voodootronics, Spider and the Green Butterfly, any of these back doors into any of the ATRs or the ADRs, I am not a proponent of. So,
Uh, Strange Girl Bone Collector. I cannot fathom the idea that only one person is a child of God.
welcome, stranger.
Their principle is all humans are the divine children of God. All of us, every single one of us.
Yep. That's what I always say when people ask me, like, do I believe in Jesus? I say, yeah, of course. I don't believe he was the Son of God. I believe he was a Son of God. Um, I didn't know that
Um,
we had that many fluids. Oh, yeah. Aside from the red and the white, you've got your tears, you've got your spit, you've got the one that
Sweat,
comes lower, the waist.
the yellow one.
The what?
Uh,
Yeah, the yellow one or the clear one, depending on if you drink
yep,
a lot of water. What else? How many was that? The B, I mean, the red, the
the
white,
yellow, the
the
red,
yellow,
the white,
the tears, the spit,
the sweat, and snot.
sweat, and what else?
Snot.
Oh, snot. Yes,
There's an
there you are.
orifice. We can get a liquid out of it on the human body.
Yeah, there you go. Uh,
Truth Pipeline is saying that he thinks lockdowns and mask mandates are going back into effect.
they
Not the
probably
time
will.
and place for that discussion.
But yes, yes, we are not discussing any sort of politics or anything like that. Harry has a question that you might be able to answer. Is there a lineage within Freemasonry with Sufism?
So I have a text that was recommended to me by it was a really cool history of the text by a Mason who wrote it regarding what he called Turkish Masonry. And in Turkish Masonry, the way he was describing it, I became convinced he's actually discussing Sufism. Said,
Okay.
I do not know Sufism. I don't know the schools of mystery there. I don't know enough about it to say that they have similar teachings or what they've thought there. So
Okay.
I can't say that with confidence. I will say that Masonry's teachings are not as how to say this. The system that Masonry has developed is very unique, but the teachings themselves are very broad and things that most of us already know. It's just the implementation of them that makes them work. So I would not be shocked to find them in Sufism. I'm betting Sufism is closer to, from my understanding of it, closer to something like Rosicrucianism, though, that has a more mystical aspect applied.
I hope that answers your question, Harry.
This alchemical metamorphosis thinking is going to go nowhere. I have no idea what you're talking about, Truth. You're talking about my personal metamorphosis. I'll admit that I've stalled. I've had a lot going on the past few months, and I've been going through some stuff, but I don't know what you're specifically talking about. But yeah, as Ex Ludo says, thank you for the traffic. All right. Here's the one that's going to get people. Are you ready? Here's the one that
Yep.
everyone's going to
Number
disagree
7?
with us. Principle number 8.
Number 8. Okay.
The mortal body is part of the world and is therefore good. But the essential human in the mortal body is drowned and clouded by inner illness.
I don't disagree.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't have a problem with
that's
that.
like core hermeticism.
Yeah, I don't
Where
have a
we
problem
are
with
in
that.
our mortal bodies, we are stuck, but our mortal bodies are the mortal world is good. The world is an act of kindness and love that was given to us by creation. You've gotten stuck in our own heads, and that's what we're trying to work through is that inner illness to break around and love the world more. That's hermeticism. And just to prove me wrong, everyone in the comments is like, "Yep, I agree. Yep, I 100%, 100% agreed." Well, as hermeticists, we agree, but there's a lot of people out there that are Gnostic leaning or have other understandings of the universe and think that we consider the mortal world to be evil, that you have to consider the mortal world to be evil, and we just don't. It's an act of beauty and love.
Amen.
All right. Principle 9. There are external forces, daconic and demonic energies, zodiacal energies, and planetary powers which affect human freedom. I
Okay.
don't like the
Decanic
way
is the word for the Decans, for the Decan spirits. Okay. All right. All right. Cool.
I'm not a
I didn't
huge
know.
fan of the way he's phrased it, but largely he's talking about the fates.
Yes.
All people, principle 10, all people have nous, the higher consciousness, but only few have activated it.
I agree.
Principle 11, there are many rituals and sacraments, but no need for priests. All that is needed is a spiritual guide who can be anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get that one pinned up on my wall behind me. Like, there are no need for priests.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to
I mean,
tell you
except
what
for
to
me, when
text.
I start my church, I of course will be head priest. But just kidding.
No, you will be a guide.
Yes, I will be your tour guide here on Earth.
So, by fire by, or fire of God by grace.
Have a good
Principle
evening.
12. The chief human virtue is reverence. And reverence always involves childlike amazement at the beauty of other human beings. I love this
Reminds
one.
me of something that Michael Jackson said of all people during one of his interviews. He had made the statement to what did he say? He said to be like the children. Don't be childish, but be childlike. So that reminds me of that.
Yep. Just look around the world and take a second and appreciate like everything around you. Not just appreciate it,
Mhm.
revere it. Like look out and let yourself be amazed. We
Amen.
always talk about, in poets and everything about the sun and like sunsets, and it's so cliche to talk about how beautiful sunsets are. But I want everyone to think for a second. When was the last time you sat and watched a sunset and just let yourself admire how beautiful it is? Not caught a glimpse of it and been like, wow, that was kind of pretty, but just sat yourself and thought about what you're witnessing.
Yeah. If I had a balcony, I would do it more. I don't have a balcony.
I have a house. My back port or my back faces east. My My front faces west, so I can always catch sunrise and sunset however I want to. I still barely
No.
ever do it.
Nice, dude. Yes, silence do good. These are posted on YouTube anywhere from 24 to 48 hours after. As we speak right now, and I'm exporting the video from yesterday. So yes, these are posted on my YouTube channel.
Which, if you're wanting to read these Hermetic principles that I'm reading, they are in the Discord that Mystic Rebel runs, the Mystics Conclave. You can go to his bio and get a link to it. Put a link there in the Hermetic Philosophy child or panel with the threat that I will be bringing these up tonight.
Indeed, he did.
Mm.
So please do join the Discord. We are active. We are lively. It's not a dead server or anything like that. How a lot of these servers become in the spiritual community. I don't know how many servers I've been a part of, and they shut down after a few months. We've been going strong for almost a year. So hop in the Discord. Join like-minded individuals discussing occultism, esotericism, alchemy, astrology, hermeticism, and there's even off-topic servers. If you don't want to talk about magic, you want to talk about movies or crypto or cars or something. So
If you want to
join up.
bash on some conspiracy nonsense.
Yes. We have the conspiracy nonsense section. We have the New Age nonsense section. So yes, if you want to take huge warm dumps all over the New Age and the paranormal, also join. It is Neoplatonism more than voodoo. However, it is a interesting magical system. Yeah, but it takes some of the terminology from voodoo. It uses some of their spirits and things like that. So yeah, I don't. I'm not a fan of throwing chaosophy over ATR and ADR systems. But that's just me.
And
You're free to do as you will.
weekly disclaimer, I have no beef whatsoever with ADR systems. I'm just not going to colonize them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Principle 13. Rebirth into higher divine consciousness can and should occur in this life.
Hmm.
Principle 14. There is a heavenly place of free trials through reincarnation. So you can separate punishment in the afterlife, but it's temporary because you're going to reincarnate and try again.
Yep.
Principle 15. Those with nous, that divine understanding, when their mortal bodies dissolve, enter new dimensions, the eighth and the ninth sphere. That one I think might be a
Interesting.
little more interpretive.
Yeah. That's why I just said interesting because I certainly don't see it that way. But that's okay.
Principle
I
16.
would like to know how he arrived at that, though.
Apparently, he did a video call with this, and that's where these are all from. But I did not know that was. Oh, I actually just found the full video link. I will post that over into that Discord I was mentioning earlier, and maybe
Yes,
later
please. Oh, yeah, I see
we can
it.
do a
Okay,
live
yes.
watch.
But still post it. But I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow while I'm at work, and it's only an hour and a half. That's light work. All right,
45 minutes if you're brave enough.
45 minutes.
I
Oh,
watch
oh,
all
you
my
mean if I
YouTube
do the
videos
double speed?
on high speed.
Yeah.
Principle 16. Ultimate deification is to become a power in the ninth sphere, always contemplating the all. Again, I think that one's more of an interpretation of the eighth and the ninth,
Yeah.
because the eighth and the ninth are not discussed often, and when they were, they came back to mortal bodies afterward.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna watch this the full video tomorrow
I think it was the same.
and see if he expounds on each of these. Is his name Angel Millar? Is whose name Angel Millar? I don't know anybody named Angel Millar. or Angel if he's of Latin origin. What's up and good evening? What's up, baby Billy? Bible Bumpus. What conception of the soul does Hermeticism espouse? Would you like to take this?
I have been feeling I've been ranting tonight, so while I would love to, I don't want to take control of the channel, so I would love for you to go first.
So the soul in, or uh, the study of the soul is ontology, right? Is that correct? That's the proper
No,
for
actually,
the
sure.
study of like the origin of the soul and the study of like the soul. That's ontology, if I'm knowing my philosophy correctly. Um, but whatever. The conception of the soul in Hermeticism is essentially, they kind of mentioned it in these slides here, but it is our connection to God. It is what gives us life, and it connects us back to the divine. Right? We all humans have that divine spark that separates us from the animals and from spirits. Right? So as it said, the planetary, the Deccan. I forgot what name it used,
Baconian.
and yes, and all of those various types. The soul is said to be layered. There are several levels to the soul, but I guess in this conversation that doesn't really matter. Um, but yeah, it is what makes us divine, right, and what allows us to find our way back to God as we attempt to ascend through the spheres. Um, yeah. 63% agree. Baby Billy says he 63% agrees with with these principles here.
I think I'm closer to like 80 something, but I'd love to hear which part you disagreed with. Like the entire point of these isn't for us to disseminate information. If I may, principle I believe it was 11.
Principle 11. Oh, the priest, there's no priest and there's
There
no.
are
Yep, you're right.
no
11.
priests. I am not a high prophet of Hermes Trismegistus here to divine you with knowledge. I am a dude who was reading these texts and I said, this stuff is heavy. I wish there was some more Hermetics I could connect with and talk to them.
Hmm.
And so I reached out to some other people I found on here and I was like, hey, do you guys want to start doing live readings and we'll read the texts together and discuss it with everyone else? That's what this is. This isn't a sermon. This is a lesson for all of us. We
Yeah.
are being each other's guides, not
Yes.
priests, not
Nope.
up on these pedestals who are like, take my knowledge for granted. I listen to Litwa because Litwa has the creds to speak on the subject. But I will straight argue with the stuff on him I don't agree with. I don't agree with his take
Exactly.
on the eighth and the ninth. I would love to hear his reasoning behind them, but from my point of understanding, I don't agree with his takes.
Agreed. I feel the exact same way. Yeah, there's no preaching or proselytizing going on here. The fact that we take questions from the audience and we, discuss with the audience should tell you that we're not here to just, give you a lecture and then sign off. That's not what this is about. This is discussion. This is, elucidation from both sides because myself and Alchemic don't always agree. And the chat may not always agree. And that's to be encouraged. That's to be expected because I can't tell you how many discussions we've um, been engaged in just from statements, comments, questions in the chat that are of disagreement or, that, want to elaborate on something a bit further. So, yeah, there's no preaching or any sort of, we are the vicars of God on earth type of a thing here. We'll leave that to, well, you know what? Never mind. But
Don't get his band. Don't get his
uh,
band.
yeah. So yes, that is not us. Those are other people.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, like he has said before about starting a church. I would love for us to start an institution that could be used for people to have these kinds of forums and discussions and such. But I have no interest in personally making a fortune off of it. I would love to make a living so that I could focus on it full time, but I also don't
Yeah.
see that as feasible. For my full time,
Yeah.
my
Such a dream.
entire time on TikTok, I actually can show you guys. Oh, actually, yes, I can. The entire time of TikTok, from all my lives, would you like to see how many gifts I have received?
How many?
Enough to buy this book.
Oh wow. I actually give mine back, not to the people. There's no way to do that. But
Yeah,
when I'm on other live streams, I just instead of me uploading my credit card or whatever, the gifts that I give back to other creators.
I was
Do
going to
that.
do that until I realized there's a trickle down effect. TikTok
What do
takes
you
a
mean?
portion of the gifts every time they're given.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't cash out, if you just keep re-giving, you're just letting the platform keep all the money.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got like 70 something dollars in there, so maybe I should buy a
So
book or something.
I thought about it for a while. I don't want to turn like this into a profession because I don't ever want the money to be the drive. Like, what can I
Uh,
do? I know I'll start clearing some of my book log so that I can have these texts for you guys and keep this going, letting this become self-funding. That I feel is the middle ground I want to walk.
Amen, brother.
Also found out if you turn off gifting, which I had off for a while, they truncate your live. You go out to fewer people.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out like what's the because like there will be some live streams and I tend to go live around the same times. But there'll be some live streams where I'll get 200 people and then there'll be other live streams where it's like 30 people. So I'm like what did I do to get that 200? I don't know. But Arthur Rimbaud, I'm not sure who that is, said he found eternity and said it was the sun mingled with the sea. Very interesting, but I'm not sure who Arthur Rimbaud is. Are you familiar with Arthur Rimbaud?
You know how I am with names, so give me just a moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna look him up. All right, David. Well,
Oh, poet.
who is
He's a
he?
poet.
Oh, he's a poet. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, he was young. He was a young guy. Did he die young? No, I mean, kind of. But all right. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Jean-Nicolas Arthur Rimbaud. He was a French poet. Charleville, Mézeray, cimetière. Intéressant. Mais non, je ne sais pas qui Arthur Rimbaud. Je suis désolé. Thank you, man. You're welcome. You're welcome. Where do I find it? Where do you find what? This text? Amazon. You can get it on Amazon.
Almost every text that I get is from Amazon. If you're not, which I'll be honest with you, I say from Amazon. Use that to get the ISBN. If you take anything from my lives, if you ever want to support me in some non like literal more an esoteric way, take the ISBN, do a Google search on your town for a local bookshop, not Books a Million, not Barnes and Noble. Find a local retailer if at all possible, and go buy it from them. If you can't, giving it to Barnes and Noble and Books a Million is still better because it still funds more of your local jobs. If you want to do anything that is like staying in line with me, please support your local bookstores because we need them. And if we don't have them, they just go away.
Yes. What if I don't want to reincarnate? Well, this is where myself and Litwa sort of disagree. It sounds now I have to watch the video. I didn't watch the video. I'm only going off of the slide, so this is probably way out of context. But it sounds like he's saying that reincarnation is like a forced thing, almost like the Buddhists believe. It's like a forced thing until you figure it out. You're forced into it. I don't necessarily see it that way. Um, for me, if you don't want to be reincarnated, you got to figure out how to navigate through the spheres and find your way back to God. Um, that's
But
how I
he
see it.
even says that like he doesn't mention that you can break the reincarnation. I would say it's more of a middle ground between those two viewpoints. You're forced to reincarnate until you learn to break the cycle.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it said. Yeah. So, but that's my take on it, Isa. That's how I would respond. Does anyone know where I can find the Discord? Yes, it's in my bio. Click on the clickable link in my bio because there should be two links in my bio, but only one of them is clickable. So click on the clickable link in the bio. That'll take you to my Stan account or my Stan page. And at the top of the Stan, there's all the social medias. Click on the Discord one. That should open as long as you have Discord on whatever platform you're on, mobile or desktop. Um, it should open it, and you should be able to um, accept the fight type of a thing. Popeyes is cooking my chicken tenders slower than politicians fixing economic problems. That's crazy. Them dry ass biscuits.
They're just going to serve them to you raw.
I
But it's okay,
had
because no
Colby's for
matter
the first
which
time the
server
other
serves
day.
it to you, it's the other server's fault.
I agree. Malvaro, do you guys have a New York fried chicken out where you are? Um, who's manipulating the narrative from behind the curtain? The powers that be, the people who, the oligarchs and the technocracy and you know, all that.
I think that there is, as Mr. Gribble has said many times, there is a level of financial conspiracy that goes on. But even that, you're looking at typically very small numbers of people involved. When you talk
Yeah.
about like manipulating the whole of human understanding, like hiding the great secrets, I don't believe there is because I'm a firm believer in Hanlon's razor.
Yeah, what do you mean, MJ? Do you mean it in the way that I was answering it, like you like just the, you know, world, like the economy and stuff like that, or do you mean like overall, like hiding, like our purpose here and all that? How do you mean that? And this is why it's good that we do live streams like this because you get multiple perspectives. Because I thought you were just talking about like, you know, why are our phones, hearing us, the things that we say, type of a thing. So I like big books and I cannot lie. I like big books too. I like big
Well,
books too.
let's just say, all right, when it comes to books, I do not discriminate. I like books, and I cannot lie.
I'm the
They're
same.
beautiful in all shapes and sizes.
Actually, the two smallest books I have, I think one of them is right here. Like this book is super thin, super thin. It's called Walking the Spectral Path by Paolo Sammet. And then I have this, surprisingly, as much as I don't like Crowley, um, I have this, well, it's not a Crowley book. It's a Thalamic book. Approaching Babylon. Yeah, this one. This one's a little thicker than the uh, Walking the Spectral Path, but it's smaller in like actual size. Like it's like super small compared to a regular size book like this, right? So,
Look at the Asclepius. Look at that tiny baby.
oh wow, yeah, that's thin, dude.
It's the Asclepius, baby. All it needs
And
to
then I
be.
have giant books, like the Summa Theologica and all that. I have like giant 1,000-page tomes like that. I'm not gonna. That's buried under other books, so I'm not gonna dig those out. But most of you have seen my Summa copy before, so I don't need to dig that out. French poet, yes, French poet. Your hermetic perspective on I wish I knew no astronomy when stars appear as a poetic phrase. I have no idea. I'd have to meditate on that. I'd have to think about that.
See,
Do you have
it's
an
a poetic
answer for
form.
that?
I feel that. Yes, so it's that. You ever taken someone to a movie, like your favorite movie, and you wish you could be in their shoes because they get to see it again for the first time?
Yeah,
It's that. It's I wish I didn't know the word so that I would first time.
I see. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay.
That's my take on it. It's getting back a way to have that childlike amazement. I think there's also I hate this story because it's used too often to chew on like mental health issues and such. But there is a certain level of truth to it when you take it to different applications. Is the two wolves inside of us. The one that survives is the one you feed. There is a certain learned behavior of taking a moment to listen and look with appreciation and taking a moment to consciously do that. And it takes time and it takes energy to do that. But I think learning to look at the sky with that newfound appreciation or with that appreciation again, it can become a learned behavior to get it back.
Well said. Okay, no, you don't. You got Bojangles, Popeyes, Zabby's. I've never heard of Zabby's. KFC and Slim Chickens. Never heard of Slim Chickens.
Did he mean
Very interesting.
Zaxby's?
Sorry?
Did he mean Zaxby's?
No, Z. I mean, unless they spelled it wrong, Zaby apostrophe S.
Maybe they just
Unless they
forgot an
do mean
X. It'd be
Zaxby's and they
Zaxby's.
just
Yeah.
spelled it wrong. Um, but it says Zabby's. I'm not sure. I am a Thalamite. Well then, have you heard of this by Georgia Van Ralke, Approaching Babylon by Georgia Van Ralty, Ralty. Essays for the Abyss. So very. It's from the Temple of Our Lady of the Abyss, and they are very upfront on how this is not Crowley's take on Babylon. This is a very feminist take and a departure from Crowley, which is why I bought it, because you guys know I don't really care for Crowley. But into other takes on the Babylon, so. Issa says, I feel like that's why some adults become stagnant. They forget their childlike wonder. Very true.
100%.
Very true. All right.
Even so,
That's
then, like, they don't just forget, they become belligerent at the idea that they're allowed to.
yeah, that is true. And they resist.
Oh, they fight so hard against it.
Yeah. Resistance, it's futile. After doing all the rituals, I came down to the conclusion that magic is life. You mean the Thelema rituals?
Like, when you say all the rituals, that's a bold statement.
Yeah. The astronomy stars quote gives me an ignorance is bliss vibe, experiencing wonders versus intellectual. Huh, a very interesting take.
I can
Oh,
see that,
yes,
and
and
I
they
can.
did mean Zaxby's.
Okay, I can see that, and I can appreciate that viewpoint, but I find that viewpoint like there is a certain truth to ignorance being bliss. Like I'm not trying to dispute that there is a truth in that comment, that thought, but I don't like thinking like that because while yes, ignorance is bliss, it
Oh.
is only bliss for the ignorant. And if you're ignorant, you can't make it better for anyone else. And so I find more hope and joy in experiential for the first time and taking a moment to remember that childlike wonder and to think about what it was like the first time you saw it versus trying to abstain from responsibilities. So as a hermeticist, my take, trying to be ignorant is anti-hermetic because you can't help others if you're ignorant of the situation.
That is very true. Very true. All right. I don't have anything else on my end. Unless you have anything else on your end, should we get started with the reading?
I am all caught up, but unfortunately, I must step away to the restroom for just a moment. So I will leave the
Okay.
crowd in your capable hands. I'll be back in just a moment.
All right. Not a problem. All right, guys. While we wait for Alchemic, if you have it, or at least the people in my chat, unfortunately I can't see Alchemic's chat. But the people in my chat, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll do my best to answer. Child may experience or child may experience wonder. Adult admires its complexity and depth. Hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Let me see if there's anything I missed. I don't think so. No, yeah, I answered all these. Answered all these. Answered all these. All right. Well, let me scroll back up here. Any diet tips? No, I'm sorry. I don't do a diet. I'm just naturally thin, I guess. Well, that's not true. Now that I'm like a little older. Uh, Weight starting to hit me, but unfortunately not. And welcome, B Quicks. Glad to have you. The lovely B Quicks. AM is accurate. I have limited character count to type with. Do you think Christians in general are harder targets for the path of enlightenment? I mean, atheism certainly is a hard target for the path to enlightenment, but um, I don't know about Christians. I guess it would depend on the denomination. That would depend on how open they are to, alternative belief systems. What is equivalent to time for a sacrifice for a ritual? Money. Money. That's the only thing that can get you time back. Coming back from Japan recently, I'm eating more vegetables but lots of protein. Well, that's good. We can't forget the protein. Can't forget the protein. I'd love to go to Japan. I'd love to go to Tokyo. Tokyo. I think they have excellent fashion out there. It's very different than what we're used to here in America, or even with like European designers. Asia is very unique, and I think the people in Tokyo, at least from what I've seen, because I've never been there, but at least from what I've seen, I think they're very bold with a lot of their choices, and so I very much like to see it. Things are very loud over there. Lots of in your face choices, no subtlety. It's not like, Tom Ford and his clean lines and, things like, there's no subtlety. It's all in your face, all loud. And I think that's a good thing, right? But this isn't a fashion live stream, so sorry. I have a lot of interests outside of the occult. Um, my sister lived in Japan for 4 years. I'm jelly, haha. Her husband was stationed there. Yeah, yeah. I would. I mean, I don't speak a lick of Japanese, and I don't really have a desire to learn Japanese. But I would love to go to Japan. I'd love to experience their life. I feel like their nightlife would be something else, like just on a whole other thing. Um, and I've been to some fantastic clubs, DC, Miami, LA. Never got the club in New York, unfortunately, but uh, the Caribbean, but I feel like Japan would probably. I don't know. I feel that way. I could go. It could be trash because I don't really care for the karaoke bars. I know that there's a lot of those. I don't really care for that, but like nightclubs there, I feel like could use or could be um, a phenomenal experience. She says at the karaoke bar, yeah, yeah, I know they have the karaoke bars. I don't know. I'm not really into that. I'm into the nightclub vibe, right? Um, Either the hip hop type or the EDM type. That's the stuff I'm into. Low lights, lots of. Well, I don't think I can talk about that on TikTok, but yeah, that's the vibe that I like. That's the vibe that I came up in when I was in like high school and college, the festival circuit and all that. Can you use ancestor money for a big gains in time? What do you mean by that? Can you use ancestor money for big gains in time? Um, if you mean like, can you go back in time or gain more time by using ancestor money? No, I meant money, like real money, would have to buy you more. Like, okay, so for example, a private jet, right? That buys you time. You pay $20 million for a G5 or 7 million for a Cessna citation or something like that, and now you don't have to go through customs. You don't have to go through TCA. You don't have to do all that nonsense. Get to the airport 2 hours early. You buy time, right? The plane leaves when you leave. The plane does not, there is no, you got to get, it's your plane, or it's the plane of the company that you run or work for, and you're high up in there or whatever. So you bought time, right? You paid the $20 million, and now you bought time back. Now you bought those many extra hours that it would have taken you at a regular airport every single time you fly. So that adds up over time, and now you got all that time back. That's what I mean by buying time, not with magic. Actual money would have to buy you time. She saw everything. So, Sakura Blossom festivals, theater plays, bathhouses, instant nudo, uh, musom, etc. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I would love to go to the theater, even around here. But none of my friends are into like real acting, right? They're all into movies and film, and those are great. But I want to see some real actors, and I want to see some genuine, raw emotion displayed in front of me, believable. And I've never got to see that, so I would love to do like a Broadway something. Um, but once AM gets back, suggest an online Hermetic symposium format. Uh, would support structured discussion. What do you mean by that? And there's very little that we can do with changing format here on TikTok. And this is where both of our audiences are. It would make any sense to start at zero somewhere else just to change the format. Clubbing Tokyo is very siloed in certain prefectures. Nightclubs that are EDM hip hop are plenty though. Well, then that's all I need. That's all I need. Even if it's only in like a certain area of the city, like a red light district type of a thing. Just tell me who I have to pay. Tell me what Yakuza member I need to contact to let him know that I'll be in his, and to buy that way nobody tries to mug the non-white foreigner traveling. And I think we will be good. I tend to have good credit in the underworld, so just let me know, what Yakuza guy I need to contact, what dragon, leader I need to call.
I step away for 8 minutes and I come back and you're on the Yakuza?
We're talking about international crime. No, no, I'm kidding. We were talking about going to Japan. I think last her last month of living there, she spent $500 on Gutatama plushies. Wow, sheesh. But I mean, I have a friend. We go to the Renaissance Fair every year, and he's like really into like the medieval stuff, and so he spends hundreds of dollars there every year on like swords and axes and shields. And I'm like, bro, what? Just hangs them all around his house. I'm like, all right, cool, if that's what you're into. So I mean, I guess that's cool. I mean, if she's really
So
into Gutatama. Is that an anime or something? If she's really into that, um,
I
cool.
get being really, really into that medieval style weaponry, but your friend would be much better served for his dollar finding the local SCA,
What's an SCA?
Society of Creative Anachronisms. Basically, they're people who LARP by actually dressing up in full plate knights armor and then in a very controlled setting, beating the crap out of each other.
Ah, okay.
But the
Well,
benefit
he
of
actually
knowing
might
those
like that.
groups is they also have people in them who are actual swordsmiths or
Oh
actual
wow,
armorers.
nice. Well, actually, he might be able to get into that from the Renaissance Fair because the one that we go to, they all have like on-site smithers and
Yep.
um, all that other stuff. So, yeah, they all make it right there at the site. They make their own wine and all that other stuff there.
So
So
Ex Ludo says that they feel called out because they also used to do SCA combat. I'm in 0% calling out the SCA. Understand, I knew what they are. Hilarious anecdote though, I didn't know that the last word was anachronism until more recently, like last few years. I thought it was acronyms. And so I thought they were making a joke on themselves, saying they're the society of cool acronyms.
that's crazy.
Only more recently, the anachronisms. They're using non-historic equipment to recreate historic. Okay, I'm with you now. I have several friends that are in the SCA. I'm only not because of the time commitment.
That's understandable. Yeah,
But if
I
you're
don't
looking
I
for,
can't get into the LARPing thing. I don't know. I just start laughing the whole time.
but it's more
She
for your friend, it's more that if he's looking for weaponry to hang on his wall, I can't speak for everyone, but if I have a sword on my wall, it's cooler to me if I can actually take it off the wall and whap somebody with it.
Yeah, I mean, he says things like that, but we both didn't know. I'm sure he doesn't know. He's never mentioned it to me about anything like that, like the SCA. So I will let him know. We're going to be hanging out on Saturday, so I will let him know.
That said,
There's a
if your
festival.
Ren Fair has actual like blacksmiths there forging, it may be different than most of the ones I've been to, where they just have like the cheap showpiece stainless steel blades up on the wall that are just there to look good. Like they are not meant for actual use in any shape, form, or fashion.
Well, they do have that, but they also have the one guy next to the pirate ship, where there's a fake Johnny Depp always out there.
Yep.
Next to the pirate, they have or a smithery or whatever like that, and they do like demonstrations every couple hours. You know, you can watch him as he puts it in the smelting whatever. I don't know how it works, but yeah. Um, she would send home Japanese snacks often. They have the best snack selection. That's cool. I've seen like the Americanized Japanese snacks at like Second and Charles and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I was asking if you could buy time with ancestor money. No, you would not be able to buy time with ancestor money, or at least not directly. I mean, now you could use ancestor money to help you, you know, secure a deal that could, you know, possibly land you the money to buy a private jet, and then you could buy time. But no. Not a live stream format, more like a one-time scheduled time slot WebEx Zoom event like seminar. Oh, okay. We can do that here. We can do that on TikTok. Set up a whole like it's scheduled, and it sends out, you know, an alert to all your followers, and then it puts this video up about the time that you're gonna, you know, start and all this other stuff, and people can sign up and all this other stuff. I've seen people do it, and I've gotten invites for those types of things. What does Hermeticism mean? It's a Greco-Egyptian religio philosophy that espouses a one God with several lesser creator beings. It espouses a dual nature of man. It espouses no sin, or at least not any sin in that way,
Not
in the
that
way
way.
that most people um, think of sin. And it teaches you to love God, to God's creation, and by doing so, you worship God. It teaches if you know how to properly, you know, read through the text, it teaches you how to find your way back to God due to the fall of man because we fell in love with ourselves um, instead of God. So it shows you how to correct that and get back on the righteous path, as certain religions would say. Um, that's how I would define Hermeticism.
I
How would
think you
you?
defined it beautifully.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I hope that answers your question, Yamina. Lovely name. Mystic over here bullying the LARP community. No, 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 no. I'm not bullying. I there would need to be cameras and a sound gaffer and a lighting guy for me to take it seriously. Because then I would at least think we're on a movie set or a TV set. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's just not for me.
My good friend, I may actually have to bow out. I mentioned earlier that I was doing better today than I had been this week.
Okay.
Um, Part of that is I'm recovering from a very, very bad stomach virus,
I'm sorry to hear that.
and apparently I am not actually fully recovered yet. So rather than leaving the
No
bathroom
worries.
for like two more times, I'm going to bid everyone adieu and apologize.
No worries,
Um,
brother.
and I will see you all next
I
week.
all right, sir. I hope you feel better. Have a good night. That one? How about that one? We'll do that one. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I was not expecting that. I was not aware that he wasn't feeling too good, but hopefully he feels better um, by this time next week. Sorry about that. But feel free to continue asking questions. I put up a new topic thing, so it doesn't have to stay on the topic of Hermeticism. So Sometimes I feel, or excuse me, I sometimes, wait, I sometimes occultism, or let me remove I. Sometimes occultism feels like LARPing. Okay, I was like, why is this sentence not making any sense? Remove the I at the beginning. Sometimes occultism feels like LARPing. So there is an aspect to occultism that can definitely feel like LARPing. A lot of the ritual actions and the gestures can definitely feel like you are LARPing, right? Especially if you're coming from like a Golden Dawn type of a thing, where you have to draw, the pentagrams in the air and all that other stuff, and make all the signs, and all that. No offense to anybody in the Golden Dawn. That can certainly make you feel a little silly. So I certainly get that. But this brings results. It doesn't just make you feel good, like LARPing, having a good time with your friends and all that. You would get results or you should be getting results at the end of your occult rituals. Well, not at the end, but, as time goes on, results should come about for whatever it is that you did it for. Correct. It could perhaps expand our communities. Okay, I can certainly look into that. Is it linked to any Abrahamic religion? It's most closely linked to Christianity. They are distant cousins. They came up in the same region of the world, so they are. We share a lot of beliefs. So you're welcome. You're welcome. Pro LARPing dudes. Symposiums present pro and con views of every topic. Okay. All right. Interesting. Thanks. You're welcome, Billy. It's okay. I hope he gets better. Yeah, I hope he feels better as well. My dyslexia got in the way. I'm so sorry. I just realized I messed up the words. No, not a problem at all. I was just like wondering, like, why am I not reading this right? And then I realized, oh, that I shouldn't be there. Did you know that Golden Dawn is just masonry with magic trees? I don't think Quinn would like you saying that. That's funny. Do you believe people can get messages from God? I know it's crazy, but I feel that way. So, it depends on what you mean by from God. In Hermeticism, I'm going to say no. We do not believe that God communicates with humanity at all. He's too distant. He's too far away. It's funny you say that because when I said that they are, that it's a distant cousin to Christianity, I was going to give an example of one of the similar beliefs. And one of the similar beliefs is the orthodox position of the essence and the energy distinction. High level, because it's super deeper than this, but high level, it means that God is super far away. And so we as humans can never know God in his essence. We can never know the true essence of God because he exists outside of time and space. Just like if I were to, build a house, I exist outside the house. I can go in the house if I want, but I exist outside of that house. God exists outside of time and space. So therefore, we believe he does not interact with humanity. We can know him through his energies. This is the essence and the energy distinction. We can know him through his energeia, which is his creation. So in a hermetic context, we would say God is not giving you any messages. It is one of his lesser beings that are intelligent, like the planets or the zodiac or the decans or something along those lines, that is trying to give you a message. Or it could be your ancestors or your legitimate spirit guides. I do not mean that in some new age theosophical way. I mean that in the legitimate way of like your Ori or your head spirit or your nativity angel, your holy guardian angel, your presiding angel, your tutelary, angel, that sort of thing. So that's how I would respond to that. God is not talking to you. It's one of his lesser beings, and that is assuming that something is talking to you. I mean, even coming from like a Christian perspective, if we follow, I mean, okay, if we go with sola scriptura, even then God wouldn't be talking to anybody because that was Old Testament, right? That's when the prophets existed in the Old Testament, and God came and or Jesus came and did away with the old ways, and he created a new covenant, the New Testament, and now everybody can share in the glory, the Jews and the Gentiles. And therefore, the old ways are not needed. So therefore, there are no prophets. Jesus was the final prophet. And there is no need for any more prophets. So therefore, there's no need for God to talk to anybody. He revealed everything in his word, and all that stuff. So, yeah, I would say no. But that's just me. I've been falling down the rabbit hole with occultism. Well, what have you been discovering? What have you been reading first? Let me ask you that. What have you been reading? Well, I made a charcuterie board to enjoy during this, so I guess I'm hanging out in your chat now. I'm sorry, Ex Ludo. You made a charcuterie board. I hope you have a nice bottle of, I don't know. Am I allowed to talk about? No, probably not. Never mind. I hope you're enjoying it with the proper beverage that one usually enjoys meats and cheese with. But I can't say what that is because little wokes in the chat will get all offended. You're not following the TikTok terms of service. You're not. And then they'll report me. So, yes. Like God is trying to pull me in that direction of the occult. Then if you believe that, then I highly recommend reading through the 3 books of occult philosophy. I have the Eric Perdue version, which is the best version that you can get on the market. It's the most readable. It's updated in modern day language. It corrects most of the corruptions from the seals and the images, and it provides the references and the sources that Agrippa was sourcing and referencing because he didn't just pull it out of his ass. And it does an excellent job of reconciling Christianity, or at least the Christian view of God, with magic, because of course the modern day take on magic from a Christian point of view is that it is evil and that it is against God. But here you have a very devout Christian who trained under an abbot of all people, Abbot Johann Trithemius, who himself was a magician. And of course, neither of these men were condemned by the early church. To be honest, they let Agrippa come and teach at many Catholic universities. He wrote the quintessential text on Western ceremonial magic. I'm sure everyone knew it. But yet they still invited him to come and, teach and lecture at many universities. So I recommend reading that. Not only is that foundational, but it will reconcile Christianity and the occult for you. 1 second. There we are. Sorry about that. You don't believe God is within us as well? No, we do. But he's not within us in the way that most people are thinking. He is not within us. He gave us a soul, which is the divine spark. That is the connection to God that is within us. That is why in Grimoire tradition, we don't just automatically have the authority over demons. We have to obtain divine authority, because while we do have that divine spark, we are not God, and God is not in us in that way. We have to obtain divine authority from God in order to command the lesser spirits. So I never felt God in church, but there was always an energy there I couldn't explain that felt higher. Well, there are some churches that I do believe that they are experiencing something, some sort of a spirit. I don't know if it's God, but some sort of a spirit. But those are usually like the charismatic churches, right? The ones that, the dry, boring churches where, you just sing some songs and the pastor comes and preaches and then you go home. Maybe not there. But the ones where, people are like falling down and, getting beat with the Bible to knock the demons out of them. There's something going on there. A lot of it's fake. But in some places, I do believe that there's something going on there. God told me time is running out. Seek relationship with Jesus Christ while you have time, people. Thanks for that. Or I guess there's different beliefs among occultism. Oh yeah, there's. It is innumerable. There are numerous religions, belief systems, spiritual paths, all that within the occult. Oh yeah. It's not even funny. Like there's It's you've got your so you've got like Kabbalah, you've got Hermeticism, Rosicrucianism. You've got different trad crafts that follow certain religions. You have all the shamanic denominations, and I'm talking about lineaged and indigenous shamanism. So that's the natives here in the U.S. That's the natives down in Central and South America. That's the natives out in New Zealand and Australia, Africa. Iberia. All that good stuff, and all those various denominations, all the ATRs, all the ADRs, all the Scandinavian and Norse folk stuff, all the Welsh and Druidic and Welsh and Scottish and Gaelic stuff, all the Asian, like Tao of the Left, Tantric Conjure, Kumantong. Yeah, there's a crap ton of religions within the occult. I couldn't even begin to sit here and name them all. God is a force of creation. The further its light goes away, the harder the light becomes. Well, I would say that God is the force of creation. If you're talking about big G God, little G gods, they are a force of creation. But big G God would be the force of creation. But what do you mean? The further its light goes away, the harder the light becomes. Maybe you got cut off there. The harder the light becomes to see or to feel or experience or something like that. Is that what you mean? Maybe as I scroll on, I'll see it. False, sir, false. I'm sorry you feel that way. Feel free to go live on your own channel to explain things. Am I late? Well, you're late for the Hermeticism stream. Unfortunately, Alchemic Mason wasn't feeling too well. We did about an hour. We didn't get to do any of the reading, though. We were answering questions within the chat and just having like little side conversations with the chat. But we did discuss a lot of Hermetic concepts. We just didn't do any of the reading. So unfortunately, Alchemic Mason had to leave. So we've kind of switched the format for this evening. So you're not late for the overall stream, but you're late for the Hermetic stuff, unfortunately. Where do you think human beings got their knowledge? By elevating themselves to God, or the opposite? So like, do you mean like who gave us knowledge, or because we get knowledge by learning? But like, do you mean like how do we learn? Is that what you mean? Or would you be able to elaborate on that question a bit, and then I'll be able to give an answer? So for all these starving children, where are those angels and spiritual beings? False. At the same place your angels and spiritual beings are. I could flip that question back to you, to a Muslim, to a Jew, to a Buddhist. None of these gods are helping out these starving children. None of these gods are helping out the children getting SA'd. None of these. So what are you talking about? That's not, I mean, as terrible as it is to say, it sucks to say this, but unfortunately that's not what spirituality is about. It's not about saving sick people or anything like that. It's about elevating your soul to get closer to God. So as terrible as that sounds, that's what it's about. So that's where the angels are. They're not. Their job isn't to take people who are homeless and sick and poor and get them into houses and make them rich and give them jobs. That's up to them. Now, of course, there are people out there that can't because they're too sick or they're disabled and all that other stuff, and that is unfortunate. And there should be organizations or family and friends that assist those people. That has nothing to do with spirituality. So I think we first must understand the purpose of spirituality. While it's nice that spiritual organizations help out those less fortunate, that is not the purpose. That's more of a look at me type of a thing than it is a spiritual thing. So matter is the result of God's light in the universe. All matter must awaken, then travel back to source. That's a very interesting take on looking at things. I wouldn't say that matter is a result of God's light, but that's okay. I haven't read anything. Please recommend me a book if you can. Well, the three books, the one I was talking about earlier for you, the three books of occult philosophy, the Eric Purdue edition. If you have the money, I'm not going to lie, it's not cheap, but if you have the funds and you can afford it, I certainly recommend it. So, what's your take on Plato mystic? I like Plato. I mean, most of his teachings are espoused or are reinforced within Hermeticism. It's reinforced within Egyptian Hermetic Adamic philosophy. So, well, I prefer Neoplatonism, right? Not just Platonism, but um, excuse me. I don't have a problem with it. I do have a nice bottle. I make my own. That's right. You do make your own. I remember you suggesting that I make my own in the Discord. I don't even know if I believe in God or not. Let's say I'm going on an adventure to discover it. No, not a problem at all. No worries. And I wish you luck on your journey. But I think you will arrive at the conclusion that there is, I mean, I don't know if you want to call him God, because, I mean, that's what I call him. I don't know if you want to call him, but that there is an intelligent creator. I think you will arrive at that conclusion. Um, so. I grew up in a Muslim family, but always had a conflictual relationship with religion and God. I completely understand that. I grew up in a Baptist family. And so I know exactly what you're going through. In some respects, obviously, the restrictions and the rules are not exactly the same, between Baptists and Islam. But I feel you. When you're astral projecting, are you fully conscious as you are in the physical? Yes and no. You're in this in between sort of a state. So you're not like under the influence of like anesthesia or something like that, where you're knocked out, and if like someone were to pinch you or smack you, you wouldn't be able to feel it or acknowledge. It's not like that. But you're not fully 100% like aware, like it would be like if somebody were to like punch you while you're actually projecting, it would take you a minute to like come to your senses and all that other stuff. So what do you think about people saying not everyone has a divine spark? I don't believe that. That's a modern solipsism type of a take on things. That's a very, anti-cosmic way to look at life. I actually don't believe that there's really many people who actually believe those types of things. I think that's like an internet, like a debate bro type of a thing, right? Just like something to bring to, one of these online debates, because it's cool and edgy right now. I don't think anybody, actually believes that stuff. But I don't agree with it. Every single human being has a divine spark. So, what is that? Oh, okay, never mind. Do you think worshiping or devotion is something important? Not necessarily worship, but I do think veneration is important. Yes. I do think that you should venerate the powers that you want to work for you, especially because most intelligent spiritual powers can't do much of anything without us giving them the energy to do it. So, like when you give spirits offerings, right? They use the essence and the energies of that offering to help carry out whatever work you want done. So veneration is pretty important because it's a mutual exchange, right? The spirit gets something and you get something. It's not just a one-way thing where you get what you want, but the spirit that you're employing to bring it about doesn't get anything out of it except, hey, thanks, bro. They can't use your thanks, so and they can't use your money. So their money is the essence of things, the sympathetic nature of things. So I thought occultists would look past placing a gender to the creator. That depends on the occult system that you come from. Not all occult systems agree with each other in a lot of the theological perspectives. So it depends. on who you're talking to, especially some more of the feminist type groups like Dianic witchcraft and the fairy tradition, where the goddess has more import than the god. So during song or prayer, I felt a spark of oneness. It kept me going through a lot as a kid. Interesting. That's awesome, and I'm glad that you felt something. To like at least let you know that there's something out there, and you didn't like get totally turned off to spirituality because of your distaste for Christianity. Taoist alchemy. I don't know much about Taoist alchemy. I actually don't know anything about Taoist alchemy. So I wouldn't be able to assist with anything on Taoist alchemy. My mom offered me a book about Sufism because she knows the mystical is the only thing I'm interested in. Well, you should read it. I don't know anything about Sufism or Sufi or anything like that, but I recommend you to read it and see if that's something that you're interested in. My mom tries to reconcile Islam with me by making me see the mystical branch. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I would never expect anyone to, like a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, to try to bring someone back into it through the esoteric and the mystical elements. That's very interesting. What is the main focus within the occult? It depends. I know you might not like that answer, but the occult is not just one thing. I know that the conspiracy theorists want you to believe that it's all just one thing and it all comes from Crowley. That's complete, absolute asinine BS. Those same conspiracy theorists in the same breath will also say it all goes back to Egypt and Sumeria. So which is it? Because Egypt and Sumeria are thousands, tens of thousands of years older than Crowley. So does it go back to Crowley and everything started in the late 1800s, early 1900s, or does it go back tens of thousands of years? And if so, then that invalidates your Crowley theory, that it all goes to Crowley and everything comes from Crowley and there's no systems outside of Crowley. That's BS. If that were true, if everything came from Crowley, then the main focus would be to discover your will. But the Voodoo Sant certainly is not trying to discover their will. The Quimbadero does not care about discovering their will. The Santero or the Polero does not care about finding their will. The Obeamen does not care about finding their will. The thunder magic practitioner from Tao of the Left does not care about, discovering their will. So it depends. And that might sound like a cop-out, but hopefully the explanation that I just gave, with all the different traditions within the occult that don't, agree with Crowley's thelema, should let you know that there's no one solid answer for that. From my perspective, as a Western esotericist, the main purpose of the occult is to align yourself with God. But again, a trad witch would not agree with that. A chaot would not agree with that. So it just depends on the tradition or the system that you're coming from. Godding. Thoth or Prometheus, God's knowledge. I would pick Thoth, but I'm a Hermeticist, so. How do you connect with your head spirit? Well, if you're asking specifically about the head spirit, you'd have to talk to somebody from the ATRs. Head spirits, Oris, they come from the ATRs, the ADRs. Specifically, Yoruba tradition. So you'd want to talk to somebody from a Yoruba tradition. Check out Amadou Bamba. I got hope. Sorry, no, I'm just kidding. That's Mo Bamba. And his pacifist jihad and the pen movement in Senegal. I really don't have any interest in Islamic, theology, philosophy, or anything like that. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably not going to check. I don't really have an interest in, that branch of Western esotericism. But thanks for the recommendation. Anybody else who is interested in Islamic theology or whatever else, things might be going on in Islam, look up Amadou Bamba, not Mo Bamba. Not Mo Bamba. Not Sheikh West. Don't look up Sheikh West. What's the focus of the occult? Hopefully you just heard my answer for that. Awesome. I find reading Plato, Jambilka's Proclus to help flesh out my pre-existing Hermetic beliefs. Then yeah, you would like The Secret History of Hermes Trismegistus. If you are interested in all of those philosophers, The Secret History, here, let me, there we go. Now you can read it. The Secret History of Hermes Trismegistus by Florian Ebeling with a foreword by Jan Assmann. So this is it here. Pretty interesting. Have you ever heard of Simeon Toko? I have not heard of Simeon Toko. How did you get into occultism? Well, at the risk of telling a super long story, and I get, super behind in the comments that I'll never catch up on, I'll just say that I discovered it when I was 13. And about a year after that, I got connected with a local coven, or local at that. I don't live in that area anymore, but local at that time. Coven. And after meeting this young lady, and she told me that her aunt was one of the high priestesses in the coven. So she introduced me to her after a few months of us being friends. And next thing you know, I'm being invited to the coven grounds and going through initiations and learning the mysteries of the mother goddess and the horned god and, all that good stuff. So I think people might use it as a justification for doing things they otherwise feel guilty for. Are you talking about some people don't have a soul or the divine spark? Yeah. I really don't believe people really see things that way. Like nihilism and all. Like I really don't believe anybody is a true nihilist, or else why are you still here? Like, what do you still like? Let's stop playing the games and just get it over with. Like, what you're still doing here, brother. You obviously aren't a real nihilist if you're sitting here talking to me. You shouldn't be talking to anyone. There should be no reason that your mouth should be able to open, because you should have done something to ensure that is no longer a possibility. But yet here you still are. So I don't believe that anyone is, really has those. I think it's all just, look at me, I'm unique and different. I don't agree with those guys, like, so. Inshallah, I help guide everyone to the truth. Well, good luck. I hope you do guide more people to the truth. Did you like my accent there? Inshallah. These green beans are taking forever. Come on, green beans. Yalla, yalla. Come on. Did you like my accent, Abraxas? It's a very dangerous way of thinking. I agree. Everyone has a divine spark. Nobody is above another. Amen. Amen, Mackenzie. What about people who say give offerings after work is done? I mean, that depends on like how you determine to work with the spirit. Sometimes that is warranted. There are times where that is warranted. Giving the spirit their offering or their reward after they give you what you want. But then you have to make sure that you really do give it, because they've already done their job. So you don't want to anger spirits, even if it's a benevolent spirit, so it may not try to take revenge on you or anything like that. As above, so below. Spirits talk to each other. They're not, they don't, they're not off in their own, world by themselves. They communicate with each other, and you have a sort of a spiritual credit score, if you will. It's not really a credit score, but that's probably the best way to think about it. And if you don't pay your bills, word will get around and spirits will not want to work with you. And you better hope it's not a malevolent spirit that will come and take revenge. It's one thing to not pay it up front, then it just won't do the work, right? But if it already did the work, yeah, you better make sure you pay. So that's fine if you're going to give it after the work is done, but you should probably make sure that you pay them. And give me 1 second, guys. My video from yesterday is finished downloading, so let me just upload it real quick to YouTube. Give me 1 second. Upload video. Alright, come on. Let me change this title. I don't like this title. That was just my download title. Okay. Am I spelling that right? Okay. No, it's not for kids. No cards, no end screen. Public. Let's do it for 10 a.m. tomorrow, eh? 10 a.m. tomorrow. All right. It'll take 21 minutes to upload. I can close that and bring this over here. So this screen is available again. All right. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure so that way it was done before I shut everything down for the evening. All right. Well, in Hermeticism, God is referred to as the Father due to the fact that we cannot fully conceive God. That is true. They do call him the Father, but that's more of just of a title of parentage more so than a gender. I got into occultism because I had a vision of the tree of life and did my research from this. Very interesting. Then yeah, I would, if you had a vision of the tree of life, I would look into Kabbalah. And in the Corpus Hermeticum, we see God referred to as androgynous. Yes. Yep. So it wasn't a thing of gender. Gender is not that important within Hermeticism. It's the last thing you get when you incarnate, and it's the first thing you get when you die, when you shed, you're this mortal body. So the vagus, or the vagus nerve, I think you mean, is so important while connecting. Interesting. Dianic groups are often misandrous and turfs, right? Well, I don't know about that. I don't actually know anybody from any Dianic groups. Your mom is a queen? What? What do you mean by that? Like your mother's of a country? No, she's not. No way. I'm glad I held on to that belief. I wouldn't be here in your live if I didn't hold on to the idea. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm so glad that you are here and you're not, out here atheisming it up. How can I know it's an actual astral projection and not a dream? Well, you'd be awake. You wouldn't be asleep. If you're sleeping, it's not astral projection, it's a lucid dream. You'd be awake. So, something bigger than me exists. Exactly. Big! My brother, Mystic Rebel, the deep knowledges you hold should be celebrated. Well, thank you very much. I don't think it should be celebrated. I think it should be spread to the people like I'm doing now. That's what I think it's for. I don't think it should be hoarded and held on to like some, knowledge hoarder. I don't know. Like, I don't know another word for it. Like a knowledge pirate or something like that. It should be spread like a knowledge Robin Hood. It should be spread to the people. and let the people decide what to do with it. That's why I also don't really agree with the pearls before swine type of a thing, because in most, I mean, well, I don't agree with the pearls before swine saying if you don't elucidate on that pearl, because then if you elucidate, then whatever that saying is supposed to mean has validity. But most of the quote unquote swine would not know a pearl if it hit him in the face. Like if I sat here and didn't preface it, I just gave you the mysteries, you would not know that I just gave you the mysteries. Unless you've already gone through the mysteries, you would not know, right? So, the whole pearls before swine thing, sometimes, at least in a spiritual context, I don't agree with it because they wouldn't know. They'd be like, oh, great. Anyway, next, they wouldn't know what I just told them. That I just gave them, the keys to the kingdom. They wouldn't know. So, maybe it's is it maybe a connection and control within existence, the main focus? I love your answer. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. But is it maybe connection and control within existence? I'm not sure I understand that. I'm sorry. Yes to Toth. So many receipts. Yeah, Toth is the main deity that we use to intercede within Hermeticism. All of the Sufi stuff is addressed to Yamina Mystic. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I'm like reading that stuff like I have no interest in that, but thank you. Okay, sorry about that. Oh wow, Assman is a respected Egyptologist who revolutionized the field. Yes, he is. I mean, Florian Ebeling is also a noted scholar. But yes, Jan is also very well known. Any Eastern philosophy? No, I'm not into Eastern philosophy. I'm sorry. I stick with Western esotericism, Western philosophy. And well, I shouldn't even say Western because then that would mean everything from Russia on over. And I focus strictly on occult philosophy. Let's say that occult philosophy, from the West. Do you have any simple method for spiritual protection? A simple method? Yeah, I mean, it's not going to offer you much. I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. The 5D shield technique, if you look that up on YouTube, Lisa Renee, super new age, but it works, has a video on it where she talks to you like this, and we are going to activate our 5D, like she's all cosmic, intergalactic goddess, nonsense. But it works. But it's not as effective as like shielding and warding, which is simple, but it requires a little more effort. So I don't know, like that's why I'm having a hard time with what I should tell you. But the simplest would probably be the 5D shield technique. But if you want something, more effective, I would go with shielding and warding, which is simple, but you would have to know how to cast spells and do rituals. So I've noticed there's a lot of misdirected rage, anger, despite the ever-pervasive no politics. What do you mean by that, Sid? What are you referencing there? What are the different attributes between the occulting God from the Christian God? There's like it. It depends on. There's no occult God. It depends on your system and the tradition. I can't answer questions from a general occult perspective. You would have to give me like how do the voodoo people see? I can't give you an occult God versus because there is no occult God. There's various deities within the occult. So there's no way to answer that. Kare Hermes. Dua Toth. Like Dua Lipa? Or are you making dua to Toth? Like make dua? Occult is a broad category as plants. Yes, thank you, Ex Ludo. Yeah, there's no way that I'd be able to answer that kind of a question. I need specifics. Yo rebel, wagwan. Respect, man. Respect. Yo medan. Pick up yourself, vid. Y'all check out Sam Block, aka Polyphanes. Yup. He has a great article on. I mean, just his whole website is the Digital Ambler is fucking fantastic. Like Polyphanes is fantastic. I mean, he will always have. 9 years ago, he made this for me. And he made me, this cost me $50, $50. And then he threw in all of the seals for free. So when he was selling them for like 110 on his site, we were talking for like months. And then he was like, you know what? You can have this one for like 50. And then I'll give you all the seals. Back when I was first getting started with my Grimtrad, and I was struggling. I wasn't getting any results for like 2 years. I couldn't get a spirit to appear. Nothing was working. And he was the one that introduced me to Rufus Opus's work, which was his teacher. And he was like, try this. And I was like, all right. So I got the Art of Drawing Spirits and Crystals, Modern Angelic Grimoire. And I was like, all right, but I don't have any of the stuff that's in it. Like, I don't have a table of practice and all that other stuff. And back then, I didn't know about Etsy. I don't even think Etsy was around back then or anything like that. And so he was like, all right, like, I'll do it for you for $50, and then I'll throw in all the seals, like, for the 7 planets for free. And I was like, holy crap. So he'll always have a special place in my heart. But yes, Polyphanes is fantastic. And also, he has a great article on why the Kabbalion is bullcrap. Much better than my video. He goes like deep on it. So, is it safe to say the premise of occultism is about going within? No, that's only some occult systems, and most of it is. I don't want to put this on them. New Agey. I won't call them New Age. That's disingenuous. But they're very new agey, the ones that are all go within. The classical magicians did not worry about going within, right? And again, all the ATRs, they're not worried about going within, right? The trad witches are not worried about going within. There is no, not that there is no internal work being done, but there's no emphasis on that kind of a thing. That's a very Eastern thing. Yeah. So, what are your opinions on astral magic, and what technologies do you find most effective? Do you mean like doing magic on the astral plane? I'm not that big of a fan of it. Like astral projecting and then doing magic. Why not just do magic, in real life? I mean, I guess if you don't have the space, you're 16 years old and you live with your, super Christian family and you can't, okay. But I mean, other than that, I don't know. I don't see a need to do any kind of astral magic. So while I don't have a problem with it, I don't see a need to do it unless you just truly don't have, the opportunity to, do real magic or physical magic in the physical world. So a sophist is someone who hoards knowledge but never really knows anything. Oh, wait, is that a joke? Like, do you mean like Sophianic Gnostics? Or is, maybe I'm reading it wrong. I thought you were like trying to make a joke about like Sophianic Gnostics. Like they hoard a lot of knowledge, but they don't really know anything. But maybe you are, maybe I'm way off and I'm making it something that's not. Do you practice Stoicism? No. When your ancestors visit you, is it called lucid dreams? No. No. Not unless you are lucid dreaming. But no, they usually don't come during a lucid dream. They usually just come during your regular dreams. Kare is welcome in Greek, and yes, praise Toth. I'm just feeling pious. No worries, Abraxas. No worries, Abraxas. I love your book. I love your book, the Book of Abraxas. I love your book. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. And it's funny, this text does have it in an astral evocation in it. But I don't see a need for it. Yes, the Digital Ambler website is gold. He's a good dude. He's a great dude. Yeah, he's super helpful, super, I mean, at least back then. I haven't talked to him in years. But back when we would talk, super approachable, doesn't have this clout about him. I'm Polyphanes. I'm Sam Block. He's not like that. Then again, even the people that I've been fortunate enough to speak with who are famous or were famous, because some of them are dead now, within the occult, were never like that. Like, I've talked to Nicolaj de Matos Frisvold about Eshu and the Kimbanda of Night and Fire back when I was first getting into Kimbanda, and he helped me out immensely. I spoke to the late, great Donald Michael Craig. He was the one that told me to work through the first 9 chapters of his Modern Magic, and that should help me start connecting with spirits on a deeper level. He was right about that. And he was because at that time I only had his little book, the little green book, The Truth About the Evocation of Spirits Today, or something like that. It was this little green little booklet. I was like 15, 16 years old. Oh my God. And I reached out to him and he was super helpful. I spoke to Joe Peterson. He's been super helpful. I've got to speak to Aaron Leach. I got to speak to Ian Corrigan. I got to speak to John Michael Greer. No one has shown me any sort of like, how dare you reaching out to me, you neophyte, like it was, they've all been great. They've all been great. Even E.A. Coetting, I mean, he's been humbled over the last few years, going to jail and getting kicked off of YouTube and all that stuff. But back in the day when he first started Bog and we had our little rivalry, he was cool. Didn't really stoke the fires. I was the one stoking the fires. But I was young, so, I mean, what do you expect? There was someone else I was going to name. It slipped me, but it doesn't matter. Bumbleclot. I can pick out a few. Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Okay. No, I'm referring to the Sophists and Plato. Okay. What about John Ramirez, the third highest Satanist priest in New York turned Christian? I have a YouTube video on John. I mean, I have videos on here too, but they don't go into it as deeply as my YouTube video does. Go on my YouTube channel, Demon Slayer Mafia. I have a video debunking John Ramirez and his exposing witchcraft nonsense and all his wild claims. Like, all the demons were at my wedding. Like, all of the demons, bro. Like, even if you mean just Christianity, right? In the 14th century, the Bishop of Canterbury tabulated the number of angels that fell with Lucifer to be at like 297 million or something like that. And they're all supposed to have demons under them, like legions of spirits under them. That's hundreds of millions. They all showed up to your wedding. Like, stop playing with me, bro. You in the video that I have on my page here, he's like, yeah, I've astral projected more times than, American Airlines, flies. Like, I even astral projected during the day. And I'm like, that's not a flex. There is no time to astral project. You're free to astral project anytime you want. Astral projecting during the day is not a flex, brother. Like, most people learn to astral project during the day. Like, so I don't, most of those people are clout chasers, charlatans, scam artists using religion to get wealthy. So, in Greek, welcome is karate. Karate? Kareti. Karit. I don't know. Well, Abraxas wrote something in Greek. Well, if I pronounce it with Latin, that's Zypu. I don't know. I don't know about Greek. Zachary King is another one who was a high wizard. He converted to Catholic faith. He's on YouTube. I'll have to look into Zachary King. I'm not familiar with him. But I've got a few videos where I debunk these Christian former occultists. So check them out. And it's not just a video of me talking. Like, I react to the video. So I'm watching their video and then I'll pause it and correct all the nonsense, in that section. Then we'll, like any other reaction type video. Book recommendations on Black Mirror scrying. The problem with scrying, actually, the problem with most divination systems, I've yet to, well, that's not true. Tarot, I've found some good books on, but most divination systems, I feel that in the West, our methodology is inadequate, especially for scrying. In my opinion, the Arabs have the best scrying tech. And so, unfortunately, most Arab occult texts have not been translated into English. Nineveh Shadrach is trying to do a good job of giving us that, but he's mostly been focusing on grimoires lately, not just like general magic. So, and there really is no scrying in the classical grimoires, even though that's what you're supposed to do. They're not really doing that. So, most of the good scrying tech that I found in the West don't come from books on scrying. They come from books on other topics, like other occult topics, and then they have a chapter or two on scrying, or on divination, but they have like a subsection on scrying, and they might have a good technique or two in there. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is crystal magic or crystal gazing. Where is that? Where is crystal gazing? There it is. Crystal gazing is a good one. The author's not on the front here. This is by Northcote W. Thomas, M.A. This is from 1905. So it's by Northcote W. Thomas from 1905. In Hanover Street, in London, Fleet Street. But yeah, crystal gazing, its history and practice with a discussion on the evidence for telepathic scrying. This is pretty good. And also the Enochian scrying tarot is really good. Although everyone tells me that this book is like no longer available, or if it is available, it's like super expensive. I don't know why. I paid like $30 for this book. Everyone's like, it's like $150. It's like $200. I'm like, what, bro? I literally paid that. It's like, so I don't understand why everyone's like, every time I try to find this book, it's like $200. This is a good one. So, but everyone who tries to find it, whenever I recommend it, always says it's super expensive. But I literally paid like $30, like the 20 plus shipping. So. Yeah, I'm in Polly's Discord. He's very patient and always happy to help. I did not know he had a Discord. It's been years since I've been on his site, but I will check that out. The demons were the groomsmen. Apparently, I'm like, bro, you had hundreds of millions. I mean, again, that's just going with the Christian tabulation. If we add in all the rest of the demons in the world, which of course Christians believe that every other spirit that ever existed that wasn't an angel was a demon. So billions of demons are just hanging out at your, like, bro, stop it. Like, stop it. Like, stop playing with me. Do you have a contract with demons? No. I can't astral project with your method because I have aphantasia. Is that the thing where you can't imagine, like you can't picture things in your minds or like your head, or like you don't, I don't want to say it like that, like you don't have an imagination, but isn't that kind of what it is? I'm really not trying to be mean. But that's what that is, right? Like you can't see things in your head. Like if I were to say, picture right now a yellow Ferrari, you wouldn't be able to do it. Or picture Rihanna, like picture Rihanna in your head right now dancing at this. Well, she wasn't dancing. Her dancers dancing at the Super Bowl, to work and all that other stuff. That would be the Sophist, that astral projection dude. Really? Oh, excuse me. I burped. Did the Egyptians practice advanced magic? I mean, they practiced magic. What do you mean by advanced? Their magic was rooted into their religion, so their magic was very religious. So they would have rituals that probably don't resemble many other occult systems, like especially the occult systems from Europe. But what do you mean advanced? Like, can you elaborate on advanced? Mm-mm. Yeah, it's $300. That's nuts. That's crazy. Hold on. We got like what? Oh, that's the standard definition. Okay. All right. Let me go on Amazon. All right. Enochian scrying. There it is. Scrying tarot. Let's see. All right. Well, it doesn't appear to be available. 290, bro. That's crazy. I showed you the back of the book. Okay, that's what I paid like 10 years ago. This is crazy. I get that it came out in 2004, but I got books from the 70s that I paid like $30 for. Like the new Avatar Power. Is that where is that? I think that's over here. New Avatar Power. Okay. Let me show you the title page so people don't think I'm lying. You're showing you're showing a novel. The Miracle of the New Avatar Power. Oh my god. And then I'm going to go to the 1974 by Parker Publishing. Paid $50. This is from 1974. This book is from 2004, and they want $300 for a Llewellyn book? For a Llewellyn book. Llewellyn, right? Not beautifully bound, like these books are. These books that I paid $120 for, not beautifully bound, like, Mark Allen Smith, with wolf lintel and got the gold, and nope, paperback, Llewellyn. 298.98. That's crazy. Well, that's if you if you want the cards. Just the book by itself is more expensive. That's weird. I don't understand that. But yeah, I got the book and the cards right here for $30. The Enochian Scrying Tarot for $30. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. That's insane. That is insane. Meanwhile, actual foundational texts, are not going in. Whatever. That's crazy. Mystic, I'm calling it a night. Appreciate your time. Have a good night. All right, baby Billy. Thank you for hanging out, brother. I'll be following you. In about 5 minutes, I'll be hopping off as well. But thank you for being here, man. Have a good night. Mystic, Hermetic House of Life is the Discord. Okay, thank you very much. I can imagine shit, but I can't literally see it. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I do, like, so you can imagine it, but you can't see it. Now I feel like a philosopher, like, like, that's, yeah, that's, I don't know what that, I don't, I'm, that's interesting. That's gonna like break my brain, so I probably shouldn't think about it. $300 doll hairs? Yes. $300. I don't get it. I literally showed you guys the back. It said 1995 US, 27.99 or something like that in Canada. That's it. So max with shipping, I mean, unless you're like from some other country and you got to pay like international shipping, max with shipping you should pay is like 30 to $40. Like shipping for one book should not be more than $10 if you're getting it within your same country. So unless you live in like some corrupt war torn country or something like that. So that's wild. That's wild. Like that's literally insane. I don't get that. I don't get that. I would get it if it was one of, like my Scarlet Imprint books or my Nephilim Press book or Primal Craft or Hadean or something like that, where there's only like 400 of them made or there's only 800 of them made. So I'm one of only 800 people in the world that have some of these books and all this other stuff. That I get because there's only going to be 800. And so once those 800 is gone, I get selling it on the secondary market and putting it up for a markup. But a paperback mass produced Llewellyn book, that's wild, bro. Like, that's absolutely wild. Is that the oldest book you have? The 19? No. I've got, well, physically, no. I think I have some journal, some general's journal. Hold on, let me see. Yeah. I got John W. Foster's memoirs, his diplomatic memoirs. Don't ask me why I got this. It has nothing to do with the occult. But it's old. Like this John old. Like this John old boy. This look at this thing. This John mad old boy. So let me see when this was written. He got his picture in here and all that. Where is it? Oh yeah. So I was wrong. I thought this was a little earlier. This is actually 1909. I thought this was like 1890 something. But no, this is 1909. According to the copyright page here. 1909. So I guess for physical books, that would be, or the 1905 one would be the oldest one that I have that was written at that time. I do obviously have the 3 books of occult philosophy. That's from the 1500s, but my edition is obviously modern. I have the Eric Purdue edition. But the book itself is from technically 1510, wasn't published till 1532, but technically 1510. But my edition came out in 2021. But the oldest book that I own in any fashion is from the 1100s. Yeah, I guess Crystal Gazing would be my oldest physical copy of a book that I have. That's an inflated price, 100% inflated, 100%. Yeah, I can't physically see it when I close my eyes. I can only see black. Damn, bro. That's crazy. That's not aphantasia then. If you can see it in your mind, people, objects moving, you're fine. First, we must tackle what it means to imagine. Yeah, like I'm sitting there like, like classical philosophers. I heard mushrooms can fix aphantasia. Well, I cannot. I'm not allowed to recommend anything like that. So unfortunately, I can't agree or disagree with that because if I talk about it, someone in this chat will report me because they're soft and that's the world we live in. So you can strengthen your imagination through meditation. That is true, but I don't know. Like if you have like a medical thing, I don't know if like meditation would help much. I don't know. I don't have it. So, Why do you think paranormal investigations are trash? All right. That'll be the last one. And then I'm going to hop off because it's 11:01. So, all right. So, paranormal investigation is trash because, first we have to ask, what are they trying to do? Right? What is the purpose of, and granted, when I'm talking about paranormal investigations, I'm only talking about ghost hunting. I'm not talking about looking for the chupacabra or the Alabama white fang or UFOs or the men in black or strange lights in the woods or missing 411 and all that other stuff. I'm talking about stuff that deals with this channel, which is the occult, which would be ghosts and demons. So demon hunting and ghost hunting and all that is what I'm talking about when I reference the paranormal. So with that in mind, what are they trying to do, right? For the ghost hunting, at least, they're trying to get in touch with the dead, right? They're trying to communicate in some fashion with people who have passed on. Well, this is an actual, legitimate occult, esoteric, and mystical practice known as necromancy that goes back centuries, all the way back to the beginning of spirituality, to be honest. Ever since man died, which has been since the beginning of time, there have been rituals associated with the dead and getting in touch with the dead, making sure that the dead are able to cross over to wherever they believe they go, properly. They don't meet any demons and have any problems and all that good stuff. There's always been rituals associated with the dead. From then up through now, there are religions, there are practices to this day in first world countries where people have cell phones and modern medicine and cars and Teslas. There are people who engage in necromantic practices. None of them would agree that the way to get in touch with the spirit is to take your modified ham radio, because that's what a spirit box is. You don't have to believe me. Google how to make a spirit box. I promise you, you will come across a website that will tell you one of two things. Either buy a ham radio and we will modify it, or here's how you make a ham radio and then we'll teach you how to modify it. I promise you that is what you will get. So none of those legitimate necromantic practices or necrosophic practices would agree that all you need to do is grab your modified AM FM radio, walk around a graveyard and go, hello, are there any spirits here with us? We want to help, you solve your unsolved murder. And then you just wait and then when it goes, they go, oh my God, bro, did you hear that? It's the ghost talking to us. Under what occult, esoteric, or mystical principle would that work? Why would a spirit be able to utilize that to communicate? They don't have an answer for that. Because I've been in these live streams and I've asked those questions. I will say, to the benefit of the paranormal researchers, they're the only group that won't mute me, right? The New Agers will mute me, the Christians mute me, at least the paranormal people don't mute me. But their response is, well, everybody has their own way. That's not an answer. You're copping out. Under what mystical, esoteric, or occult principle would a spirit be able to use your modified AM FM radio to talk? Oh, well, they use the radio waves to talk. No, they don't, because you're not talking to them. You say this long drawn out thing and they respond with a one word answer. Oh, well, it's difficult. Okay. Then under what esoteric, occult, or mystical principle would you be able to get this to work? They don't have any kind of answer. The right answer is the occult, esoteric, or mystical principle to communicate with spirits is done through evocation. It's done through invocation. It's done through conjury. It's done through dream work. It's done through gate walking. Actual occult, mystical, and esoteric practices that are used in necromantic and necrosophic systems to get in touch with spirits. Not your modified AM, FM, not your spirit app that you got from the App Store. That's not how. Why would that work? What technology did the app maker use that your phone has that would be able to, there's no sense behind any of this. It's just taking advantage of gullible people. This is why the ghost hunts never end up with anything actually being found. There's no communication established. When they go to houses that are haunted, they can never clear the house. They can never get rid of the ghost. Oh, yep, you got a ghost. Bye. Like, what do you mean bye? Help me get, well, nope, don't know how to do it. Call the priest. Then what the hell did I pay you for? Like, no, not at all. So, have a good night, Mystic. Enjoy the chat. You too. I'll be hopping off here in just a second. Find entities that are non-corporeal. What do you mean by that? Find entities that are non-corporeal. Good night, everyone. Have a good night. Yes, good night, Alex. I always do it, Alex. I'm sorry. I always call you Alexna. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Have a good night, Alex. I'm so sorry. I'm telling you right now, it's not real. It's not real. Paranormal investigation is not real. Removing and elimination is the goal, not communication. Well, they don't remove and eliminate. They usually can't even communicate. And how can you remove and eliminate without communicating and determining if something is there? You're watching too much TV. They are not used by paranormal investigators. Well, I don't have a traditional cable, so I get mine from people who are live streaming, like I am right now, when they're live, not pre-recorded on Ghost Hunters or whatever. I watch people live on TikTok who go on their ghost hunts, and people who claim to own companies who go out and do these things for money, ghost hunting and all this other stuff. So unless you're accusing them of lying, which you'd have to take up with them, because then that would be fraud, and you should be able to get a lot of money out of them, sue them for false advertising. I doubt that. Communication is not necessary. Eliminate the entity. How do you know an entity is there? You're watching too much TV. You're not listening. I don't watch TV. I only have streaming services, not cable. But thank you. None. You're only using one thing to say it's trash. That's the example that was asked for. All of paranormal investigation when it comes to ghost hunting is trash. This is why you got. I mean, it sounds like you are a paranormal researcher. This is why you're not successful, and this is why you're not able to answer under what occult, esoteric, or mystical principle does it work, unless that's what you mean by saying none. So what you're saying is that spiritual entities, spirits, there's no spiritual way to get rid of them. We have to use physical means to get rid of spirits. This does not make any sense. Are you able to explain that? Can you give foundation for that? How you can use physical means to get rid of something spiritual? That doesn't make any sense. Because then I should be able to use a physical means to see these beings, right? But we can't. We have to use spiritual means to see these beings. You're not making any sense. You just want people to give you money to get rid of ghosts that aren't there. But that's okay. Do spirits communicate through signs, symbols, pics, or numbers? Not pics, but signs and symbols certainly. Numbers would just be signs and symbols. But there are many ways to detect entities. Yes, there are. They're all spiritual, esoteric, or mystical. You can argue it, but a valid argument would have foundation. You would have something to back it up, not just you saying it, like I did when I named all the systems and traditions that use necromancy and necrosophy, right? So, what's gatewalking? Astral projecting through the spirit sigil to get to them. You can't get rid of them because they ionize the atmosphere. So you're not making any sense. Earlier you said you eliminate them. Now you're saying you can't get rid of them. So, like, you don't know what you're talking about, brother. Under what principle, period? Exactly. Who's the person that walks around with the incense? I want that job. A priest? Like with the censer, and it swings back and forth with the with the incense. I'm glad I'm not the only one who doesn't watch TV. I haven't since I was 16. Well, I don't watch cable. Like, I have streaming, but I don't know of any other than that 28 Days Haunted on Netflix. I don't know of any streaming ghost hunting shows. It's all the ones that I see on the live streams or on YouTube. Every morning every morning made me depressed, so I quit. Just streaming services here, huh? Yep, same. But that's mean. I mean, I didn't do it because I don't like TV. It just didn't make any sense to pay $300 a month for the 7 channels that I watch. So, figured, just pay those channels directly for their little, plus services. Technically, we should be able to create some tech to properly see entities, though, with enough funding. I mean, maybe with like infrared or something like that, but that would be, or like energy mapping, like heat mapping. That would be the most we could do. At least at this point, I don't see a scenario right now with where technology, or at least the publicly known technology, where you'd be able to see a spirit like you can see me, right? Like a Skype call or something like that, or like FaceTime, without spiritual um, methodologies. Archaic nonsense. No, Red Storm 1, your archaic nonsense. How about that? How about that? How old are you? 33. The sacred age that Jesus died. Dun dun dun. How would someone start their own delving into occultism and esoteric teachings? So I have a getting started playlist right here on my channel. I'm about to end this live stream. So after this live stream, click on my channel and click on the getting started playlist. And that should help you out immensely. You think Epstein was an occultist based on it? Nope, not at all. Not even a little bit. No, I'm sorry, Spoiled Venus. I gotta go. I've been live for a couple hours. You're welcome. You're welcome. Do you have to fast to astral project? I saw a video. No, you don't have to fast. I mean, fasting helps, of course, but it's not a requirement. Why do I come so late? I don't know. I'm sorry. I usually start my streams around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you have a great night. Sorry, plans fell through. That's okay. That's okay. People get sick, so that's okay. No worries. I hope he feels better, and we can pick things up next week. So yeah, there are stories that the first night vision stuff picked up a lot of other things, and they had to change it. I'm sure it did. But yeah, that would be the closest that I mean, we can get some outlines and some, shading, but that's about it. We wouldn't be able to see like a fully fledged out face and things like that, not without spiritual means. So can you explain number one? All right, and then that's the last one, because or else I'll never get off here. I was supposed to get off 13 minutes ago. So I'll explain number one, and then I will hop off. So number one is most witches and occultists or whatever that turned Christian were usually never really occultists. And this is evidenced by watching their own content, their own videos. When you watch them, if you know anything about the occult, right? When you watch them either on their own channel or on these other Christian channels where, they ask people, to talk about, expose the occult and all of this stuff. When they're giving their testimony from back when they were in the occult, you start to realize that they were never in the occult, that they were in the new age, right? Because they never mention any actual occult practices. They only mention new age practices, things like yoga, things like chakras and auras and sound bowls and, crystals and astrology. They never mention any legitimate occult, like they never mention like even basic things like drawing down the moon or the lesser Banishing Ritual of the pentagram or, I don't know, the middle pillar, or they never mention, calling the quarters, or, any of the 101 type of stuff that you would expect them to say. They don't say anything like that. They only mention new age types of practices and new thought types of practices. And this is pretty much all of them, right? And then the few that may name legitimate occult things, like John Ramirez that someone brought up earlier. If you actually watch their videos, they're just randomly saying words, right? It's like they read one occult book and they don't remember what they read, so they're just saying random buzzwords that have occult meaning behind them. There's no context to them. They're just, and the hosts of these shows that they go on never ask them to elaborate. I noticed that, like, they never say, oh, well, can you go, okay, so you mentioned, I don't know, drawing down the moon. What is that? Can you go into, and why would someone want to draw down the moon? What does that mean? They never do that. They just go, oh, drawing down the moon. Okay. So tell me about your parents. Like, they just like switch it's like, bro, aren't they trying to give you a testimony about witchcraft and why you should, so shouldn't they be able to go into it? So nope, just give us surface level stuff. And it's like, what? So, yeah, none of these people name anything occult. And again, the few that do, it's surface level. They can't go any deeper. It's random buzzwords, that they would not be able to elaborate on. I mean, John Ramirez, in my video on this platform that you can go and see right after I get off of here, is literally on camera saying that astral projection is using demons not to travel out of your body. I would at least give him that because he's a Christian, right? He's using I would at least give you that because you're a Christian, so I can understand you thinking that there's demons taking you out of your body. But he doesn't even say that. He says it's demons using you to curse the land. Bro, what? He doesn't mention traveling. He doesn't mention the astral plane. It's using demons to put curses on the land. That's what he says astral projection is. And this is a guy that we're going to listen to about what the occult is really about. Astral projecting is putting curses on the land? In what capacity is that happening? And who taught you astral projection? Like, bro, what? So, yeah. Yeah. So, and please check out, I promise you, check out the video. It's right on my page. It's like it's like the last 4 or 5 I did. It's not the most recent, but it's like 4 or 5 videos down. So it's not like you're scrolling down forever. That's exactly what he says. Like it's the craziest thing. Holy crap. 3 people at the same time inviting me to go live together. Holy crap. Sorry guys. I mean, like, to, do like the multiple stream type thing. I've never had that, like, at the same time. That's so crazy. But anyway, yeah. So nonsense. Very few. There's surprisingly, believe it or not, there are more occultists who were Christian, such as myself, and almost all the authors that have made a name for themselves within occultism. All of us started out as Christian. So they love to say that we are the inverse and that we do the opposite and flip everything upside down. It seems to be them. They seem to be the ones flipping everything upside down. What's that called? Gaslighting, right? But anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna get off now because I was supposed to get off like 20 minutes ago. So I gotta go. I'll never get off here if I keep answering any more of these questions. For those of you who know my channel, that's, I'll never get off. So I gotta go. Thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for the questions, for the comments, for the discussion. Apologies for those who showed up for the Hermetic live stream. We got an hour with Alchemic Mason, but he wasn't feeling well, so he decided to bow out early. Hopefully he'll feel better next week and we can do the full 2 hours for the live stream reading of the Hermetica 2. I believe we were supposed to start Stabaean Fragment 12 this evening, but that did not happen. But that's okay. But for everyone else, I will see you guys in the next one. Again, thank you all for being here. And as always, seek the mysteries. Peace.